What's going on YouTube? It's Tej back again with another video, and today giving you my picks for week 17 of the NFL season. Hopefully you all enjoyed today's video. If you do, hit that like button, it would help me out a ton. New to the channel, want to see more football content, just hit that big red subscribe button. And of course, most importantly, comment your takeaways and your picks for the week down in the comment section, especially some upset picks. Love to pick your brain on that conversation down in the comment section. No Thursday Night Football. Also, I do want to mention I'm having to pre-record this, obviously, with travel and then the new year this upcoming weekend. So, same outfit, back-to-back videos because I'm recording them back-to-back. So, that said, I'm recording this on Tuesday. These lines might change. We're going to talk against the spread for each and every game. Here are my picks so far this season, including last week. So, these lines and some of the players I might mention, COVID's still obviously a big factor here. So, if I talk about somebody and you're seeing this video and they've been ruled out, just ignore me. Go ahead and clip forward, 5-10 seconds, whatever YouTube does. But let's go and get into it. Starting with the 1 o'clock slate. Like I said, no Thursday Night Football. I'll take the Bills to win and 14.5 points. Honestly, I'll take them to cover. This feels like, the Falcons won last week, so it's only in their nature to completely just be devoid of any sort of prospect of this team looking like an NFL caliber franchise. So this feels like it could be like a 31-3 type of game, right? Falcons didn't win last week, so they got to let everybody down this week, and they don't cover. So give the Bills to win and cover the 14.5, despite that's a huge margin. So that's just a gut. The Giants and the Bears. Bears are coming off a win. Don't know the status of Justin Fields, but Foles did enough to operate that offense. On the other side, though, is really where my concern comes. Mike Glennon or Jake Fromm, both are bad behind that offensive line, right? And the playmakers just have not been able to shine this year, given the offense can't fully go into motion because of the O-line. So take the Bears at home to win and cover. And if you can, maybe try to get it before it goes out to 7.5. I can see where the betting markets probably push this one out past a touchdown. Or maybe you're thinking alternate spread and you go with the Bears at something like -6.5. Then we get to the Bengals and the Kansas City Chiefs, +5 right now. I would wait on this game maybe till Saturday, Sunday. I think this is going to continue to get moved out. I think it initially opened at like 4, maybe 4.5. So it's already showing the markets are betting Kansas City, but on the road, that's brutal. I'm going to take the Chiefs to win and cover, especially at 5 points. I was fully impressed with Cincinnati. If you saw my power rankings, if you didn't, go back and check it out. But if you saw it, I was shocked that Zach Taylor went full like, hey, let's turn the game over to Joe Burrow, let him win us let him get us a dub. And if they do that again this week, obviously the odds are a little bit better. But this is a spot where they're going to have to throw to keep up with Kansas City. I like what the Chiefs' offenses looked like of late, especially against Pittsburgh last week. I mean, they decimated what is widely considered a good Steelers defense. And then the defense continues to roll, and I think that's part of the difference. They know how to take away wide receivers really, really well, right? Outside of that garbage time touchdown from Deontay Johnson, only other play that really comes to mind against Kansas City's defense last week for Pittsburgh was, an acrobatic catch for Chase Claypool that went for 11 yards. So, it was a full sweat for a play for Pittsburgh, and they got 11 yards out of it, so, whatever. So, I think Kansas City naturally has a way of just kind of take away wide receivers. Now, it's going to be a little harder against 3 of the best in the NFL and maybe the best trio in the game right now. Them and Dallas are, right there, neck and neck. But I think this is just a different challenge. But Kansas City did do a good job against the Cowboys, while the Dallas offense was a little bit of a low point. But I'm going to take Kansas City to be able to win and cover on the road. This is also a game where if Kansas City wins, they're pretty much locking up the #1 seed. So lots to play for on their side. And then we get to the aforementioned Cowboys playing host to the Arizona Cardinals. I'm worried about this Arizona offense without DeAndre Hopkins. I need to see more Rondale Moore, and Dallas looked fantastic on Sunday Night Football. If you want to bet the Cardinals with some points added on, I'd wait. At this point, people are going to continue to marinate on the hype and how good Dallas looked on Sunday Night Football against Washington. So let the spread continue to grow, and then maybe once this game maybe reaches 7, that would be a spot where maybe you lean Cardinals for betting talk. But I'll take the Cowboys to win. Then we got the Dolphins and the Titans. This is a really intriguing one. I'll take Tennessee to win and to cover. A.J. Brown is just a difference maker. Now, I know he'll be lined up with Xavier Howard or Byron Jones. Overall, that Miami defense looked really good, but it's come against a lot of backup quarterbacks other than Lamar Jackson, kind of at the onset of his, bad play, basically before he got hurt, to put it, just blunt. But that said, both these teams have good defenses, right? Don't overlook how good Tennessee's defense has been this year, and especially considering if they take away the underneath stuff, what is Miami going to do to counter, right? This is not a team that has like multiple ways to beat you. Like you look at Dallas and it's like, okay, well, we don't have the vertical passing game, so we'll play underneath and we'll get the tight ends involved. Or we'll just run the rock. We got Tony Pollard and Zeke. We have ways to combat however you want to try to defend us. I don't see that with Miami. And I think this could be a spot where Tennessee takes away the shallow stuff, makes it to where as soon as the catch is made by Jalen Waddle, he's going down, which is obviously easier said than done because he's a freak after the catch. But I like the Titans at home, and plus more A.J. Brown. They've been able to run the football even without Derrick Henry. Like Donta Foreman looks like who I thought he would be coming out of Texas, which is kind of fun. And, Julio Jones, assuming he continues to work back closer and closer to 100%, that's obviously a good sign as well for Tennessee. They're at home. They're trying to keep pace with Kansas City to potentially work their way back in that number 1 seed, so a lot to play for there. And, of course, Miami's looking to stay in the playoff mix, so a lot on the line for both teams, but I'll take the Titans at home to get it done in Nashville. Colts and Raiders, give me the Colts to win and cover this spread. The Raiders' run defense a couple weeks ago was actually a little impressive and overall fared better than I would have anticipated. I can't remember who that was, but I had really anticipated them getting shredded on the ground. Jonathan Taylor's going crazy in this game, I think, especially considering you have to anticipate those Colts 4 starters that did not play on the offensive line against Arizona because of COVID. You have to figure at least a majority of them are going to be back. So, yeah, give me the Colts bullying the Raiders this week. I'm feeling good about that. One of my favorite spreads of the week. And then we get to the Patriots and Jags. Yeah. Rookie quarterbacks against Bill Belichick. Yeah. 15.5 points is a ton, but this may well turn into 24-0. 27-3. Like, yeah, I feel comfortable with that spread. Or if you want, this could be, you could pair these two games into a teaser where it's basically a pick 'em Colts over the Raiders, and then you tease this down to 9.5. Basically, will the Patriots win by double figures? I'd be shocked if they didn't. So could be a teaser play there for sure. And then we got the Saints and the Panthers divisional game. I think this one will actually stay close, but I don't know what New Orleans quarterback plan is. Again, I'm recording this really early, so it does depend on who's under center for this one. If it's Ian Book versus whatever Carolina's doing, I'll probably take the Panthers to be able to cover the 6.5. This also might be a number that moves out even further, potentially. But I had to think that Taysom Hill's going to be able to come back, right? Missed Monday Night Football because of COVID. Ideally, he'd be able to get through the protocols. And if it's Taysom Hill, then yeah, give me the Saints to win and cover. And at that point, then this spread probably moves up and over 7. Which makes it a little tougher. Give me the Bucs to win and cover. There's not much to talk about, right? Zach Wilson got to win against Trevor Lawrence, and those are the 2 worst teams in football in my eyes right now. If we were to just take away everything that's gone on this season, those are just the 2 worst teams in football in my eyes. So, yeah, give me the Bucs to win and cover there. Washington football team and the Philadelphia Eagles. This is a number where if you want to get Washington in a bounce back spot, I don't hate that play, but wait. I know you're already through the key number 3, and I don't think it'll get to 7. But the more points you can get with them, the better. And maybe you're going alternate spread and going Washington plus 7.5 to get that secondary hook. But this feels like a spot where Ron Rivera is playing for a lot of his pride, right? And the team's pride in general. And this is a spot where we got embarrassed on national television. Now we have another chance against a divisional opponent. We've got to play better. So I can see this game staying close, but Philadelphia is looking to continue their playoff march as that 7 seed, and maybe even with some help to get up to the 6 seed. That would take a lot, but that point aside, the Eagles are rolling. The offense is super efficient. I think the defense has enough to cause some havoc against that Washington offensive line that has, as the year's gone on, been a little bit less and less impressive week in and week out in my eyes. So I like the Eagles on the road to get the job done against Washington. But if we're talking betting, maybe you go alt spread here, or maybe you continue to wait throughout the rest of the week and see what this number grows out to. Chargers and Broncos, this is a must-have for LA if they're going to make the playoffs. So it's kind of fun. Staley versus Fangio, that same tree. And I think the Broncos defense presents some problems, right? But you got to think Mike Williams probably back. Austin Eckler, I think, would be a huge addition back into this offense. So that would be a huge sign for LA to try to come out with a win. They are at home. And again, kind of like what we talked about with Washington, where you're coming off one of the most disappointing games of your season. And honestly, for both teams, I'd say it is the most disappointing game of their year. Losses that maybe you didn't anticipate Washington beating Dallas, but you didn't see them losing like that. And there was no reason the Chargers should have laid an egg like they did against the Texans. So this is a get-right spot. They're at home, division game. This is one you have to have if you're going to make the playoffs. So give me the Chargers. Desperate, game situation brings the best out of them. Then we got the 49ers and the Texans. It was cute the Texans did that last week. They were COVID-riddled as well. I was worried that they weren't going to have a full team be able to play. But same thing we talked about with Washington and LA. I did move San Francisco down out of number 7 spot in my power rankings because I still think this team overall, it wasn't perfectly executed by Jimmy Garoppolo, but there were so many things that went right in that game against Tennessee. Really, you look at Jimmy Garoppolo's turnovers and A.J. Brown going beast mode as the only 2 things that really held back San Francisco in that contest. They, for the most part, in my eyes, were the better team. But now you got to get a win, right? It's cool, all those moral victories. You felt like the better team. Now you got to get a W, and you got to beat up on the Texans here at home. Yeah, this shouldn't even be a thought about it. Seattle and Detroit. I'll take Seattle to win. This is obviously a tough one. It comes down to Goff. If Goff plays, this is kind of a sneaky upset pick. Honestly, if you want to be dangerous and play a little game of roulette week in, week out, just throw a little something on Detroit money line. Who knows what happens, right? Like, if they're able to cover with Tim Boyle against the Falcons, it feels like this team, if they have Goff, could be able to knock off Seattle on a point where their franchise is at pretty much in despair. And it feels like the end of the Carroll era. It feels like the end of the Russell Wilson era. Things are looking bad for Seattle. Maybe the Lions are able to steal one on the road. But if it's Tim Boyle, give me Seattle to win. But 7 points, I'd go Detroit. Whether it's Tim Boyle, David Blow, Jared Goff, I don't care. I'd go spread-wise, I'd go Detroit. But even if it's Boyle, give me Seattle to win. If it ends up being Goff, give me the Lions to win. Little two for there. That'll make it fun to score next week. And then the Baltimore Ravens against the LA Rams. Give me the Rams to win and to cover. This is just not the same Ravens team. Now, they might have Tyler Huntley back. He got COVID day of. And they might have Lamar Jackson back. And obviously that elevated QB play will make a world difference. But this team's just falling apart. And just like what we saw the Bengals do to that Baltimore secondary, part of the reason I took the Ravens to beat the Bengals last week was, one, because it was a game they needed to have. And I thought Tyler Huntley was good enough to get the win. Additionally, I didn't trust Zach Taylor to turn it over to Burrow and just pick on that depleted secondary that lost Anthony Averett in the first or second quarter. So this is legitimately a practice squad type of secondary rolling out there. This is not guys that Baltimore was planning on leaning on down the stretch in weeks 17 and 18 of the NFL season. But I have no reservation about McVay turning it over to Stafford. This is going to be a game where if Stafford gets himself back in the playoff picture, or the MVP race, if I could speak, MVP race, it's because he puts up Burrow numbers like Joe Burrow did last week. And I think McVay is all for that. So I could see him turning over to Stafford. Kupp could have a big day. Van Jefferson, OBJ might go crazy. So I just don't see any answers for the Ravens secondary trying to combat those wide receivers and Matt Stafford. So give me the Rams, despite them being on the road and favored by 3.5. Then we get to Green Bay and Minnesota. I would go Vikings to be able to cover the 6.5. They always play close games. They knocked off Green Bay earlier this year. I don't think they'll get both games, but this game probably stays within a touchdown. Also, look at what the Packers have done against the Ravens and Cleveland the last 2 weeks. Games where they were out big and then it got close, and ultimately the team they were playing was able to cover the spread when they really had no business doing it. The Ravens, down to Tyler Huntley, had an unbelievable comeback, came down to a 2-point conversion, and then last week it felt like they were dominating the Browns. Next thing you know, it's 24-22. Browns have a chance to get the game-winning field goal. This game is going to stay close because the Vikings have it in their nature, and it feels like the Packers do as well. Division game, Sunday Night Football, primetime this year has treated us pretty well, except for last Sunday. But still, Green Bay is the better team, and they're fighting for the 1 seed. I know Minnesota's trying to work their way back to the playoffs, and a win here would go a long way. But give me Green Bay to handle business. MVP, solidifying type of performance for Aaron Rodgers. Feels like he's kind of taken over as that front runner. Again, another primetime game. This could be a spot where he kind of seals the deal. And last but not least, Monday Night Football, Browns and Steelers. This one is really tough. Pittsburgh won the first game earlier this year in Cleveland, so part of me really wants to say Pittsburgh will be able to, and it's also, I feel like there's a lot on the line in the sense that, I'm going to go Pittsburgh. I can't believe I'm doing this, but I'm going to go Steelers. Partially, I feel like this team is going to try to get Mike Tomlin to set the record, basically, consecutive seasons to start a career as a head coach or whatever without a losing season. One more win, and Mike Tomlin has clinched that. They'll finish the year probably 8-1 with a win here against Cleveland, and they have Baltimore in Week 18. But I'm going to go with Pittsburgh. Both these quarterbacks have been trash. Like, don't get me wrong. It just comes down to Baker has been really detrimental with turnovers. Big Ben's just been bad. Now, he did have some turnovers against Kansas City. I'm not trying to ignore that. But when Big Ben's bad, it's just incompletion, 3 and out, punt. When Baker's bad, I'm throwing to their defense. And in specific, you look at his games against Pittsburgh Steelers defense, it has not been pretty. This guy always has a rough time against the Steelers, and it feels like Minka's good for a pick every time he goes up against Baker. Maybe that's just me. And this is a spot where hopefully TJ Watt is healthy and he can continue to add on to his 17.5 sacks this season. Kind of a crazy total, especially considering he's missed a couple games. But I'm going to go with Pittsburgh at home, trying to get Tomlin that record surpassing Marty Schottenheimer as the current, those two are neck and neck 15 consecutive years without a losing season as a head coach. That's really impressive. And additionally, I just think Baker's mistakes are more costly than Ben's. They become turnovers. They result in points the other way. But that said, outside of the quarterback position, I think I might like the Browns roster a little bit more. And additionally, Greedy Williams has been really nice this year. Greg Newsome, if he plays, has been fantastic. Denzel Ward is a #1 corner. They might have the horses to do what it takes to take away those wide receivers. And if that's the case, we know Pittsburgh can't run the ball. This could be ugly. So it really kind of comes down to that secondary battle for Cleveland versus the wide receiver group for Pittsburgh. I think that might be the X factor in this one. But that's going to do it for my Week 17 NFL picks. Tell me what you think down in the comments section. Where do you think I'm right? Where do you think I'm wrong? And whose favorite team do you think they get the win this week? And, of course, if you enjoyed today's video, hit that like button. It would help me out a ton. If you're new to the channel, want to see more football content, just hit that big red subscribe button. That's going to do it for me. Hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day. Till next time, my name is Tej, and I'm signing off.